Okay, you have a 2016 Ram 1500 5.7 Hemi. Hemi, baby. And you love your truck, huh?
Yes, I do.
So, let's start this story. Let's go back a few months. We got a code, and that code was P000B, and P0016, and P0340. And there was another code.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Okay,
Like
well, it
codes.
threw up two codes in the beginning about 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, and it's saying this one sensor for the exhaust for the timing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take off the intake and find that a rat chewed through the wire. We thought that was the deal.
Yeah.
We replaced and fixed that wire. It was good for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it threw a different, like P0016 or P0340 code.
Yeah.
And stating that the VVT was out, the variable valve timing solenoid, a different solenoid.
Mm-hmm.
So we buy that and replace that.
Yeah.
Good for about 2 weeks. Throws the same fucking code.
Yeah.
We take that back out, and it was what? Brand new VVT.
Yeah.
It was broke.
Yeah.
So we get another one. Put that in there. We're like, what the hell? It runs good for another 2 weeks. And then we get another code of the P0340
So, and that's when we go back in.
and replace the crankshaft sensor,
Yeah.
the camshaft sensor.
Yeah.
The code goes away for about a week.
Yeah.
And it just came back on.
And we thought it was the wiring because
Yeah.
the rat chewed through it. So you fixed that. Nope. It came right back on.
And
And then
it went up.
no, that one went away.
Yeah.
And then that was the last time when we fixed everything.
Yeah.
Replaced everything, all the sensors, wiring's good, checked everything. Everything was all good to go.
Replaced all the sensors.
All the sensors.
Crankshaft, camshaft, VVT, bank 1 sensor A. It has to do with your variable valve timing and all that. Replace all these sensors.
Yeah.
Put it back together. It lasts about a week. What happened Monday?
I was driving my happy butt to work, driving on a dirt road, got about a half a mile. All of a sudden, I lost complete power. Every light in the truck went off, check engine light goes off, every freaking light that was going on, and it just stopped.
Now,
I tried and I was like, okay. So I'm like, battery's not dead because all the lights are on. So I turned the truck off, and it doesn't go back on. It just turns and turns and turns and nothing.
Now, does your truck make any kind of weird noises?
No, it did not drive any differently. The only thing that it did that I noticed was my gas mileage. That was it. Otherwise, it ran perfectly fine.
The gas mileage went down by like 2 or 3 miles to a gallon.
Yes, it did. That was.
It went down to 15 from like 19.
Yeah.
18, 19.
That was it. And I even changed gas. I thought it would be better than the gas that I was using, some crappy gas. Nope. I used Shell gas. I figured that was fine. Nope. Still had the same kind of crappy gas mileage.
Okay, well, let me talk. So, we got it apart now. And before I took it apart, I'm like, only 2 things are going to happen. Because all the sensors were going out, and people were saying they were going out. Either the ECM was taking a dump on us, which I was like, oh, don't let it be that, because you can't find one. And the ones you can't find are like fucking $1,200 fucking dollars. It's stupid expensive. Or the timing chain. Something's going on with the timing itself, because all those sensors have to do with the timing. P000B, P0016, P0340, and there's a couple others. They're all to do with the timing. So I'm like, well, it can't be the timing. It's not making no noise. It's not sputtering. It's not backfiring. It's not stalling. It just up and died. So I'm like, well, let me check the time chain. I got a little camera. I took the camshaft sensor out. At least I can see the camshaft. I stick my camera in there, and I can actually see the teeth from the camshaft gear. And guess what's not there? The fucking chain. there's no chain on the camshaft. I'm like, the fucking chain broke. Now, the truck has 108,000 miles on it now.
Yes.
I replaced that timing chain at 78,000. We had to do some major work. I had it open. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be preventative Larry and replace that stupid timing chain and the guides. I don't remember where I got it from, but I do remember on the 5.7 Hemi, you have a metal chain. The tensioner is plastic. It is actually plastic. And the guide is a metal piece, like an aluminum piece, with a plastic guide on it. And that's what it runs on, freaking plastic. So at 78,000, when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm going to replace and put new stuff. That way, hey, I won't have to mess with this until 200 at least. We didn't even get 30,000 miles. And that chain and the guide broke. It ate through the guide itself and started eating through the oil pump. It had to be doing that ever since we were getting the codes. And we're thinking it was a rat problem and wiring issues and all types of other crap. But you don't hear it. It didn't sound different. You'd think you'd hear some kind of rubbing. No. It didn't backfire, it didn't sputter. Ran normal, besides the gas mileage going down. So I'm going to show you a picture, or I'll show you a little video of where we're at and what it did. Look at it. Okay. Here it is. That's the camshaft gear. Right there. The chain's gone. There's the tensioner. Right there, that black thing, which is plastic. There's a spring somewhere down in my motor now. I gotta go fish out. There's the oil pump where it chewed through the oil pump stand. So we gotta get a new oil pump. Back in here, you can see part of that plastic fucking guide. Kind of yellowish. And the rest of it's down in the bottom of the oil pump. So now I gotta check the whole crankshaft, see if there's any metal in it, any chips or anything. I doubt it. It has a windage tray, so I'm hoping it got trapped down in the oil pan. This is what they decided to put in there. That is the guide. It's aluminum with plastic. It eats through it and then eats the metal away and then eventually breaks. Here's the chain. That's where she broke. But it did not make no fucking noise. You'd think it'd make some kind of noise. But it didn't. So this is where we're at. We'll get her fixed. Get her back up. I'm telling you, they don't make them like they used to. You think they could have made that tensioner and the guide rollers. Gear rollers. Put a fucking, you got posts there. Put a damn gear roller in there and a gear tensioner. It would last for friggin' ever. But no, they do plastic. And when I first saw that the last time, I'm like, that's some crap. And it bit me in the ass. Yeah, upsetting. Didn't even get 30,000 out of a new chain, new tensioner, new guide. I should have left the old one in there. That's the old one. It has 78,000 miles on it. That's what it looks like. And that's where the chain rides. Okay. Hey, dear. What are you doing?
I am checking the pistons
To check for...
to see if there's any damage from the valves.
Yeah, if the valve slapped because it broke the timing chain. Yeah, let me turn my light on. Bam! Broke the timing chain down there. Tore up the oil pump. Right there. Wait, let's get some of that. There it is. Broken oil pump. Got that too. But we have a video camera to get into tight spots for automotive reasons. And if you have a timing chain brake, you always want to pull your spark plugs and check your pistons. A lot of times you'll know because you'll hear it smack in and go clack, 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 clack. If you hear that, yeah, you're a total motor rebuild. But she didn't hear anything when it snapped and she was going slow. So we already checked, pulled all the spark plugs. This one has 16 spark plugs, 2 spark plugs per piston. So we pulled a spark plug on each one of them, and we went down there and checked with the video, and they're good. No debris in there. It looks like this very back one might have tapped a little bit and cleaned off some of the carbon buildup, but nothing. So I believe we are good. This motor is made, this 5.7, when it snaps, the camshaft will go back to like a 0 setting. It'll like move on its own under the spring pressure and shut all the valves. We could turn over the motor right now completely over and it doesn't valve slap. So that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. You want to show them? Stick the camera in there and we'll show the video of what one of the pistons look like. There you go. Whoa. There's a piston. That's all carbon buildup and all debris. And some of those shiny marks are from me tapping and showing my wife how fragile that carbon buildup is. I tapped it with the end of this camera and it left those little marks that you can see. And the mark that was left by the valve over here is even slighter than that.
Yeah.
So I think we're good. But check them all. I think we're good. Oh, bright light in the camera. I can't turn it off. Yep, I think we're good. How about you, dear?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Tomorrow, we start putting her back together. Drop the oil pan. Spray it all down with some carb cleaner to get any debris out of there. Check the crank. Find all the little fucking metal chunks and everything and plastic that's down in the oil pan, which can be saved because this one has a windage tray. It has a bunch of holes in it, but it protects the crank from oil splashback, and that'll cause a shake and all that. That's why they put them in there. So it most likely all the debris is underneath that windage tray. So hey, tomorrow we'll be running.
Good times.
All right, update. We took her back apart. We got her all together, put new timing in. Try to start it. It would not start. It would try to start, but then flood out. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm 180 out on the timing. The crank was in the wrong position. Took it back apart. And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play it safe and pull the valve cover off to make sure I see the exhaust valve moving after top dead center and not the intake valve. Because if the intake valve moves, that one, after your top dead center here, if you can see that little mark, top dead center, and you turn it clockwise, if that moves, you're 180 out. And that's what I was thinking I did wrong. So I tore it all apart again, got it back to top dead center. And you can see the little notch there, that little notch at 2 o'clock. That's how you can tell you're at top dead center with the crank itself. The notch or the Winwolf key will be at 2 o'clock. The pin or the dot will be at 6 o'clock. I should have done this the first time, because what I did, I pulled all the coils and plugs and scoped it with my scope and didn't see no damage to the pistons. No nicks. No pieces of metal. I'm like, okay, maybe it didn't valve slap when the timing chain broke. She was only going like 15 miles per hour tops down a dirt road, not hammering it. Mistake. If you have a timing chain break, don't try to talk yourself, well, it did slap, you scope it, it's all good. It meant push rods. The thing couldn't hear it. Couldn't hear it. So right now I know that this one is a little bent right here. That one's a little bent. But that exhaust valve, that exhaust push rod, but you can't see, that one's bent. It's almost about ready to come out. So now we're at basically a rebuild. I gotta pull the heads off and actually physically inspect the valves. I should have done that in the first place. I'm trying to save time. Yeah. Yep. Alright. That's the update. Late. Okay. Update. Heads are off. Right down there. We inspected the heads. And yeah, we got bent valves. Looks like they tapped. These are reliefs, but some of them are bigger, like this back one. You can see where it hit right there. So a couple of the valves tapped. And now I'm also inspecting all the roller rockers. The 5.7 has rollers in it. And here's where they're at. They only go in one way, like this, or that way, either way, but pull them out this way, put them back in that way. And I'm inspecting the rollers. This side so far, good. No wear, no flat spots, so that indicates to me that the cam is still good. But we still gotta check that side. So, fingers crossed. We're reassembling the motor. Put the new oil pump on, new chain, new guides. You want to take a look? Might be hard to see. Well, new oil pump down there. New tensioner guide right there. And over here, right there, that is the new guide. So tensioner and the guide. This was completely gone and it chewed through the pump right here. Even got this little bolt a little bit, but she's still good. She'll go in.
And this is what happened to the old pump. As you can see, chewed right there. And it also, if you can see, it ate through some of those too. Right there. Yep.
Okay, one other thing. When you're doing this job, it's going to throw you for a loop like on older motors, distributed motors. When you set the timing chain and the two timing marks like a Ford, it's up and up. Or no, up and down, I believe. The two dots line up and down. And when you turn the crankshaft, the dot one time, a full turn, this one will end straight up. Then you do a second turn and they'll line back up. On this guy here, the chain has colored links. So the bottom link has one colored link, and that's where the crankshaft mark will line right up with it on the chain. This is your initial setup. The top on the camshaft has like a stick looking mark, like a flat mark, and that goes between the two links. And when you get it on, you got to hold it, get the tensioner on one side and the guide on the other side, and then it'll be lined up. So you make sure the bottom crank is pointing at the 6 o'clock with the Woodruff key pointing at 2 o'clock. The camshaft pointed at 12 o'clock. Set the chain, set the tensioners. Now you're going to notice, if you go and spin this sucker a few times, those colored marks are no longer lined up with the timing marks on the gears themselves. They just go away. They don't line back up at all. But I pulled the number one. Hey, here's the heads off the block. And let's see what problems we got here. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Oh, that got bent. You can see it. That one's bent right there. Gap. Major bent. That one looks good. That one looks good. That one looks good. So we got these two bent pretty bad. And on this one, that one's bent out, and that one's bent out. They are not supposed to look like that. They should all be down right now. That one's bent too. Other heads need to be rebuilt. Fun times. Hey, babe. It's all your fault.
Well, you know, gotta give something to do.
Thanks. There you go. Cut. No real damage to the bottom, but it did tap. Did no damage to the pistons, but it did tap. 15 miles per hour. My wife heard no noise. It didn't go. Didn't do any of that. It just broke and immediately died. So if you have that problem, your time chain breaks, don't do like I did. Scope the pistons, oh, they look good, and put everything fucking back together to only take it apart again. And here, how you get these off, you need a compressor, a spring compressor. That's for installation. To try to get them off that way is a pain in the ass. It just don't work. No. So you do this. Set her down. Take a socket that just fits over the keeper. Just fits over. Nice and perfect. Then you take this, hold it there flat, and smack it. And guess what? There they are. Now what you can't lose is any of this. You mark it. Intake only for intake. So 2 different buckets. Put it in there. And then big screwdriver. Get your keepers out. Okay, keepers fell down, both of them. So, there they are. You do not want to lose these. So, yeah, I assume we have about 4 bent valves on here. 2 on the intake, 2 on the exhaust. We got the same going on this one. Bent, bent. So we got bent, bent. Looks like it might be bent a little higher on this end. Looks like a contact right there. Oh, but due to that, got 3 of them. You could buy just 3, but it has 108,000 miles. I'm buying all of them. Why not? You know, I don't want to put her back together and have some. I got to replace all the seals anyways. Take it apart, replace all the seals, so might as well just buy them all. Go new. Later.